Well, not much. Recording for a fortnight, I suppose. I did make one video and I made a hash of it because I was so very tired. I was thinking about the styles of death. That was following a TV program, of course, in which the hitman made it very obvious that it was murder. And I'm wondering exactly how many hitmen do make it so obvious that it's murder. And in fact, the only one on my list who made it very clear that it was murder and got caught was Samuel McKinley, who was a professional hitman for the UDA. Makes me wonder about his level of professionalism, to be honest. True, there was one other victim who was stabbed to death, but they never caught the murderer. As I've mentioned countless times, there was, however, a man named Robin Stoddart living downstairs, and Robin Stoddarts do seem to have this awful habit of turning up either at murders or getting murdered, or both. Take my Robin Stoddart, who was present at a murder and subsequently got murdered by Samuel McKinley, the one and only totally obvious hitman, and documented hitman. So apart from that, what I have is at least 3 deaths, at the very least 3 deaths, that were made to look more or less like natural causes or to be passed off as natural causes. I have also 2 crashes that were passed off as accidental crashes. As I just said, the only other stabbing, apart from Samuel McKinley's stabbing of Robin Stoddart, was the stabbing of Martin Brooke Warwick, and his killer was not caught. I suspect his killer is now dead, because I suspect his killer was the neighbour Robin Stoddart, who died in 2012. One of the immigrant Robin Stoddarts. Nothing against immigrants. This was in 1948 and he was 3 at the time. And a reporter for The Guardian, by the way. But anyway. So what I have, on the whole, are natural causes and crashes, accidental crashes. And my inverted commas didn't even show. I'm sorry, but I do have to say at that point that it was very much my father's style to make a death look like as if it were natural causes. Just for example, had my poisoning with arsenic been successful, that would have gone down as an accident, because he explained that I'd probably got the arsenic off a farm holiday. No one else on that farm holiday, as I later established, had been poisoned with arsenic. Only me. And then there was my near suffocation when I was 15, which would have gone down as an asthma attack. So having said it, it's possible he did not kill my mother. I think it's probable that he did. And the same with Fiona Green. The crashes are a little more moot. I have to say stepfathers also come into this picture an awful lot. The crash of my half-sister Karen could have involved my father. He could have been involved in that. Oh, and by the way, at these inquests, there's only ever one witness, it seems to me, available. Certainly Karen's. The only witness was the driver of the van into which she crashed. So he would not want, rather obviously he would not want to appear culpable. So if he slammed on his brakes in the middle of the road, he's not going to say so. He's going to say he was parked to the curb, which he did. And of course, the only witness to the death of Fiona Green was Robin Stoddart, later murdered by Samuel McKinley. And the crash of Amber Mattingly, which I have mentioned now many times, could not have involved my father personally, but most certainly could have involved his former colleagues. It couldn't have involved my father personally because it happened in 2010, and by that time he had been dead at least 10 years. And the stabbing of Martin Brooke Warwick, ditto, could not have involved my father. It was in 2002. I do suspect the deceased, Robin Stoddart, reporter for The Guardian, of that murder. But Robin Stoddarts have been connected to my family for a very, very long time. People with that name. Multiple people with that name. I was going to say a word here about stepfathers. I've already mentioned that the young female victims were firstborn daughters. All of them, as far as I am aware. 2 of them were definitely not legitimate. One of them had disputed paternity, although my father's denial of paternity could have been easily proved if he had genuinely thought that he was not her father. All he had to do was have a blood test, because it would appear that if he is my father and my brother's father, his blood group must have been blood group B, which is rare. All he had to do was volunteer his blood and say, look, you see, I'm not her father. He did not do that. But her paternity was disputed. He was legally her father simply because he was married to her mother. And as I say, stepfathers come into this. I would not entirely rule out Thomas William Montgomery, who was Karen's stepfather. Or, if by some miracle my father was telling the truth, he might actually have been her father. But anyway, whatever he was, officially he was her stepfather. I do suspect Fiona Green's stepfather of involvement in her death, now that I know of his involvement with Greg Byworth, who was also involved with the stepfather of Amber Mattingly. Now am I rabbiting? I've now gone on for 8 minutes. I don't know if it's any clearer than the video I made when I was absolutely exhausted.